There was a time when Captain Falcon was known for more than the Falcon Punch. He wasn't just a Super Smash Bros. Character, he was one of the heroes of F-Zero. F-Zero was one of the most beloved games of the Super Nintendo era, known for its high speeds and incredible difficulty. But like so many Nintendo franchises of the time, it has mainly disappeared from the spotlight. We're looking at you, Excitebike. As with so many other long-dead genres, an indie developer has stepped in to pay tribute to this amazing game. The Next Penelope is a top-down isometric racer that's as fast-paced as it is difficult. Visually, it has more in common with the Micro Machines games of the same era, but make no mistake, this is a spiritual successor to one of Nintendo's most storied franchises. Players hop into a lightning-quick hovercraft that looks suspiciously like a Star Fox R-Wing. Unlike modern racers, where the joystick is used to turn, players use the triggers on either side of the controller to maneuver their craft. This can be a bit tricky at first and can take some time to get used to. In fact, I was never fully comfortable with the controls, and that's one of the first downfalls of the Next Penelope. The game seeks to emulate a classic style of play, but never really sticks the landing. These controls are a bit too fluid, and I found myself crashing into walls or into obstacles more often than I would have liked. Not because I didn't know what I was doing, but because there was a lack of responsiveness to the controls. It should also be noted that there's no acceleration button. Your craft starts off slow and picks up speed, and as long as you don't bump into anything, you continue to go faster and faster. The problem is, as mentioned previously, the controls make it very difficult to keep any kind of momentum. As the player wins races, they're able to upgrade their ships and acquire new weapons and technology to make the game a bit more interesting. And actually, this is where the Next Penelope shines. Tech like boosts and laser beams are par for the course for this type of game, but I really enjoyed the teleportation mechanics as well as the mines. Teleportation allows you to stop time for a moment and to choose where you want your ship to go on the racetrack next. This allows for some actually interesting puzzle work. You'll have racetracks that aren't complete, that you actually have to maneuver through, or you'll just fall off the edge, and you use this teleport ability to do so. There are also fiery hot plasma beams and spikes that you can avoid by using this particular power. Mines are interesting because when you drop one behind you and it hits an enemy, they actually generate more energy for you. The energy is what you use to power up all these different weapons and tech abilities, so I really enjoyed that the Next Penelope added this interesting layer of using weapons to be able to power up weapons. What's more, almost all of the races in the game have some element beyond victory. You have to get in first place, but you also have to achieve some sort of goal. That might be using your teleportation beam for the first time, or using the mines to gather more energy. This can make things a bit more interesting than your average racing experience, and I have to say that the Next Penelope does a good job of creating varied and unique objectives. As the game gets more difficult, you acquire more and more abilities, but frankly, I don't think there's quite enough to keep my attention, and most of the ones I gained early on were my favorites. That being said, this is an early access game, so there's always a chance that more content could be added along the way, and honestly, that's what this game needs more than anything else. It needs more abilities, it needs more tracks, it needs more options. Because right now, if you're playing the game, you have a few easy tracks to run, a few medium tracks, and almost everything else is difficult to impossible. It is a very hard game, and not always fair to the player. Between the inexactness of the controls and the lack of variety when it comes to the difficulty of level design, I think what the Next Penelope needs more than anything else is balancing. It needs someone to take a fine-tooth comb through the entire game
and to try to make everything a bit more playable and fluid for the user. This doesn't mean that they should get rid of any challenge. In fact, I think challenge is what makes games worth playing. But it should be a fair challenge, and right now it doesn't always feel like that. It should also be noted that while there is a multiplayer feature that can be used by hooking up multiple controllers to your PC, the primary means of playing the Next Penelope is through its story mode, which is relatively rare for a racing game, and frankly, I wish the story wasn't there. The Next Penelope is attempting to be a retelling of Greek myths. You see the Cyclops, you see Poseidon and Zeus. You hear all these names that you're familiar with, but it's wrapped up in an interpretation that is a bit too schmaltzy and a bit too juvenile. In fact, even though the art design for the gameplay sections of the Next Penelope are quite interesting and arresting, the cutscenes are pretty dreadful. They look as if they've come out of a low-budget anime production house, and the story itself is almost indecipherable. At first, I thought it might actually be a parody of JRPGs, but the more seriously the game began to take itself, the less interested I was in the narrative. All of these problems are not insurmountable, and frankly, there is a lot of promise in the pure gameplay of the Next Penelope. It just needs more variety, more balance, and a better story. That seems like a lot to ask from a game that's this far into early access, so I don't know if we'll see these types of changes or not. But I truly hold on hope, because I think that this genre deserves a second look, and this game could very well be good if given enough polish. Unfortunately for now, we're going to have to suggest that you stay away from the Next Penelope. Frankly, it's just not worth your money at this time. We hope that changes, but for now, it's a pass.